In war, time can be a crucial asset or a crippling liability. So having a reliable timepiece is vitally important. That's why I'd like to thank our friends and the sponsor of today's video, Holzkern, the world leader in watches, jewelry, and accessories made from natural materials. Holzkern watches are unique timepieces that merge classic elegance with modern ingenuity and natural materials. Their high-quality watches, jewelry, and accessories are made in small batches, ensuring a high standard of quality, and are the perfect gift for holidays like Christmas, as well as any occasion or style. Several of our team members were thrilled to receive the Open Horizon, the Relational, and the Comfort Crusher, all models made with natural materials like marble and FCS certified wood. All pieces are guaranteed for 24 months, and ordering online is easy, with free express shipping direct from Vienna to the US, and most products arriving within 2 to 5 business days. Plus, for a limited time only, Holzkern is having their biggest sale of the year, where you can get up to an exclusive 30% off of all products. So if you want to support our channel and take advantage of this perfect opportunity to buy something for yourself or for someone special for the holidays, click our link in the description or the pinned comment and order a Holzkern watch or accessory today. By the early 20th century, the Ottoman Empire was a shadow of its former self. Decades of internal strife and external pressures had weakened the once great Islamic empire, earning it the title the Sick Man of Europe. By 1909, Sultan Abdul Hamid II was deposed after a long period of autocratic rule. Power shifted to a group of reformists known as the Young Turks, who were determined to restore the empire's strength. Yet, these leaders soon faced internal conflicts and external threats that challenged their vision. Recent losses in the Balkan Wars exposed Ottoman vulnerabilities, reducing its European territories to a fraction of what they once were. As the Great War loomed, Ottoman leaders debated their options. Some favored neutrality, but the war minister, Enver Pasha, pushed for an alliance with Germany, seeing it as the best chance for survival against Russian and Balkan ambitions. This choice became clear when the German military mission, led by General Otto Liman von Sanders, arrived in 1914 to reorganize the Turkish army. With the coming war, Enver Pasha had one main concern: the Dardanelles and Bosphorus Straits. These two narrow waterways were crucial for both the Allies and the Central Powers, as they connected the Black Sea to the Mediterranean and served as a key supply route. Russian grain and military supplies flowed through these straits to reach Britain and France. If the Ottomans could keep these waters closed to the Allies, it would isolate Russia and cripple their war effort in the Mediterranean, making the Ottoman position strategically invaluable. Tensions between the Ottomans and Allied powers escalated in August 1914, just as the war broke out. Britain requisitioned 2 Ottoman battleships that were being built in British shipyards, angering the Ottomans who had funded these ships with public donations. As luck would later have it, a German battlecruiser and light cruiser would arrive in Turkish waters on their mission to raid Russian forts in the Black Sea. Having narrowly escaped the clutches of the Royal Navy, both ships arrived in Istanbul to a hero's welcome. The Germans negotiated a transfer of these ships to the Ottoman fleet on the condition that they continue their original mission. The Ottomans accepted. The arrival of these ships dramatically shifted the balance, as Germany promised military support and Turkish leaders agreed to a secret alliance with them. Now renamed and flying Ottoman flags, these new ships sailed out into the Black Sea, bombarding Russian positions all along the coast and pulling the Ottoman Empire into the war on the side of the Central Powers. In doing so, they effectively closed the straits to the Allies, forcing Russia to rely on its northern sea routes and prompting the British to devise a plan to force open the Dardanelles and relieve pressure on their Russian ally. On November 3, 1914, an Ottoman fort at Sedul Bahir found itself suddenly under attack by British and French ships, who struck the Ottomans before formally declaring war on them. The probing bombardment managed to hit a magazine that killed 86 soldiers. Worse still, the Ottoman defensive guns were found to be outdated and ammunition on short supply, leaving them incapable of major retaliation. Not only did this attack alert the Ottomans of Allied plans to storm the Narrows and break through to the Black Sea, it also highlighted the need for better defenses. In the following months, Ottoman forces under the supervision of General Liman von Sanders would fortify coastal forts and naval defenses all along the outer entrance to the Dardanelles Strait. Underwater nets were laid out to obstruct movement. Searchlights were placed to hinder nighttime operations, and hundreds of mines were laid in an effort to make the strait completely impassable. On February 19, 1915, troops stationed at the forts in Sedul Bahir and Kumkala braced for the incoming Allied assault. Dreadnoughts and battleships of the French and British fleets opened fire off the coast, hoping to pummel them at range and close in to dismantle the Ottoman defenses. Turkish forces lay in wait as British ships closed in to survey the damage, only to unleash a fierce barrage of artillery fire, forcing the British to scurry back out to sea. The Allies were unprepared by this level of Ottoman tenacity. More importantly, they were unaware of the extensive minefield that now covered the narrowest stretch of the Dardanelles, turning it into a naval death trap. On March 18, the decisive moment came when Allied fleets renewed their assault in what they hoped would be the final push. As they entered the straits, the French battleship Bouvet struck a mine, capsized, and sank within minutes, losing nearly her entire crew. Panic spread as two more British warships, HMS Irresistible and HMS Ocean, met the same fate. Mounting casualties and damages to Allied ships forced their commander, Admiral John de Robeck, to recall the ships from battle and devise a new plan of attack. For the Ottoman defenders, the naval battle of March 18th was a stunning victory. The mines, coastal artillery, and the sheer resolve of the Turkish forces had shattered any myth of Allied naval invincibility. With the aid of German advisors, Ottoman intelligence learned that the Allies were planning a large-scale land invasion to capture the Gallipoli Peninsula and neutralize their coastal defenses from the ground. However, these reconnaissance reports did not state where exactly the Allies would be landing, which meant that the Turks were left with the difficult task of defending a long coastline without the ample forces needed to completely cover the area. Taking charge of this defense was the newly created Ottoman Fifth Army. Under the strategic oversight of General von Sanders, the Fifth Army was split into multiple corps and command areas, with the Third Corps fortifying key areas along the Gallipoli Peninsula. Third Corps Commander Esat Pasha organized a series of comprehensive defenses to be implemented by his divisions, which included the digging of extensive trench systems, setting up barbed wire, and placing machine guns at key points to create deadly zones of fire. Von Sanders also deployed artillery batteries, both modern and older models, to cover potential landing sites with overlapping fields of fire. Special attention was given to Ereburnu and Cape Helles, where Allied landings were anticipated. Since von Sanders knew he lacked the numbers required to prevent Allied landings, he adopted a different approach. Small units were positioned along the beaches to immediately engage the invaders and delay their progress, while larger forces were held back in deeper positions, ready to counterattack once the main landing sites were confirmed. This was part of a flexible tactic known as defense from the deep, or defense in depth, which involved initially allowing Allied forces to land, but then swiftly counterattacking to drive them back into the sea. To ensure these defenses held, the 9th Division, under Halil Sami Bey, and 19th Division, under Mustafa Kemal Pasha, were positioned at the tip of Cape Helles and along the Aegean coastline, controlling the high ground to repel any potential Allied advance. To assist with this, over 30,000 civilians were evacuated from key areas to prevent any potential aid to the enemy. Interestingly enough, both Halil Sami and Mustafa Kemal disagreed with von Sanders' plan, with Halil himself later quarreling with his German superior over the campaign and getting dismissed as a result. For the time being, however, both commanders fulfilled their orders as planned. By April 25th, Ottoman defenses had turned the Gallipoli Peninsula into a formidable and deadly bulwark. Around 2:30 a.m., Turkish observers spotted a large mass of ships looming off the coast at Ereburnu. After 20 minutes of observation, the moon sank below the horizon, cloaking the Allies in darkness once again. But the sighting was enough for the Ottomans, who hurriedly positioned their forces ready for the incoming transports. At 4:20 a.m., Ottoman soldiers spotted Allied boats again through the dim light at Ereburnu. Positioned along the rugged terrain, thinly spread Turkish defenders opened fire as troops from the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps struggled ashore, disrupting their advance and forcing them into cover. Despite the immediate response, Ottoman platoons at the very front were overwhelmed by the sheer numbers of enemy landing parties. As one soldier put it, "There were very few of us in the detachment, about 70, that's all." The sentry pointed down toward the beach, and we saw there were lots of them pouring out of their boats. We opened fire, and they dropped down on the beach with their guns in their hands. As more Allied boats continued to land, Turkish firepower made it costly for the invaders to secure their positions. Squad commanders maneuvered carefully, attempting to intercept and counter enemy troops moving toward higher ground. Communication among Ottoman forces was crucial but challenging, as orders and field telephone messages were rapidly exchanged between field units and divisional headquarters, often stressing the need for reinforcements. Turkish forces managed to inflict significant losses on Allied forces, exploiting their knowledge of the rugged terrain. Yet, the overwhelming number of Anzac troops began to consolidate their foothold, moving up the ridges despite heavy resistance and Turkish artillery fire. Von Sanders' strategy of defense from the deep was now being tested to its absolute limits. As more Anzac units landed, the situation grew increasingly desperate for the thinly stretched Ottoman platoons, who were pushed further inland as the battle raged on. From late April onwards, the battle lines shifted slowly but violently inland, with both sides suffering heavy losses in brutal close-quarters combat. The Ottomans were successful in preventing the capture of Krithia over 4 separate battles, but at the same time were forced into a number of unprepared counterattacks. In May alone, the Ottomans lost nearly 10,000 men in 2 separate night attacks at Ereburnu. In the meantime, Mustafa Kemal continued to prove himself as a capable military leader, with the battle for Baby 700 seeing Kemal give out his infamous directive: "I don't order you to attack, I order you to die. In the time it takes us to die, other troops and commanders can come and take our places." While somewhat callous, this command was a reflection of the Ottoman troops, who bravely threw themselves into moments of certain death, despite suffering from battle fatigue, exhaustion, and faltering morale. Throughout June and July, the defense at Gallipoli had settled into a grueling stalemate. Both sides dug in, failing to break the impasse, as costly offensives left minimal gains. Ottoman fears of a rapid Allied breakthrough began to subside. However, the protracted fighting had led to appalling casualties for the Ottoman defenders. Worse still, many local commanders had to grapple with a severe shortage of supplies, ammunition, and reinforcements. On August 8th, General von Sanders telephoned Kemal at 19th Division headquarters. He was concerned about the faltering defenses at Suvla Bay. During their conversation, von Sanders expressed concern over the dire situation, noting the critical state of the front lines where Anzac forces were still landing reinforcements. Intuitively, Kemal insisted on unifying the disparate Ottoman defenses under his single command. Von Sanders was impressed by Kemal's resolve and clear vision, and agreed to the proposal after consulting other senior officers. He immediately placed Kemal in command of the Anafarta sector, giving him authority over all the forces in the area. This meant that the Ottoman defenses now hinged on Kemal, who was successful in preventing the Anzacs from pushing out of Suvla Bay, but soon had to contend with other sectors coming under Allied attack. Upon receiving reports of more enemy landings at Ereburnu, Kemal was forced to make a bold decision. Kemal swiftly ordered his 57th Regiment to move towards the high ground near Sarıbayır, knowing that the ridge's various peaks would be needed to repel the incoming Allied advance. The high peak of Çunik Bear became a crucial target, as troops of the 57th Regiment were rushed to the position in a forced march. Arriving near Çunik Bear, Kemal rallied the scattered remnants of the 27th Regiment, who were retreating and low on ammunition, and positioned his forces along the ridges. By mid-morning, Turkish troops, supported by artillery and machine guns, effectively used the steep terrain to their advantage, creating deadly kill zones that repeatedly scattered the Anzac assaults. Despite being outnumbered, Kemal's tactical acumen played a critical role in stalling the enemy's progress toward key objectives. The end of August saw Ottoman defenses still holding firm across the Gallipoli Peninsula. At this point, the campaign again devolved into a war of attrition, with October seeing a crucial land route established between Germany and the Ottomans, allowing for the supply of heavy artillery that devastated the entrenched Allied soldiers. With their morale at an all-time low, British, French, and Anzac forces began a 2-month withdrawal of over 140,000 men in December of 1915. It was a remarkably stealthy operation, leaving few casualties, and by the time Ottoman commanders realized the scale of retreat, most of the allies had already departed. But overall, it was a resounding victory, although one that came at a heavy cost. In the end, Ottoman forces suffered 56,000 dead, 97,000 wounded, and 11,000 missing or captured. Beyond the immediate strategic victory, Gallipoli became a symbol of national pride, bolstering Ottoman morale in the face of an otherwise bleak conflict. For Mustafa Kemal, Gallipoli solidified his reputation as a formidable leader and would set the stage for his future roles in the war. Even after the end of the Ottoman Empire, Mustafa Kemal, later known as the Father of the Turks, made it clear that all who fell at Gallipoli were worthy of remembrance. Those heroes that shed their blood and lost their lives, you are now lying in the soil of a friendly country. Therefore, rest in peace. There is no difference between the Johnnies and Mehmets to us, where they lie side by side here in this country of ours. You, the mothers who sent their sons from faraway countries, wipe away your tears. Your sons are now lying in our bosom and are in peace. After having lost their lives on this land, they have become our sons as well. Thank you again to Holzkern for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget, Holzkern is running a special limited time only 30% off sale on all products. Support our channel and take advantage of this perfect opportunity to buy something for yourself or for someone special for the holidays by clicking our link in the description below or pinned comment.